We are live on Championship Sunday, and it's John Rowe versus Craig Waddingham here in the last 16, and we are ready to rumble. Stephen Jameson and Simon Webb here with you. We are a race to five in our first, race to five in our first set. We've got a best of three situation for a spot in the quarter-finals. Craig Waddingham battling through the loser's side yesterday. Big day today for all of our players.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. And what's interesting for me about this match is the man that sent Craig Waddingham to the loser's side of the draw was a certain John Rowe. And they've been drawn against each other into the single elimination stage of the competition. And John's going to have to go and try and do it all again. But here's Craig Waddingham with the first opportunity. Battled back after losing last night to John Rowe to get himself to this stage with a late night victory against Josh Juhaz, who knocked out our #1 player, Tom Cousins, or sent him to the loser's side in our very first match of the competition. Josh was stopped last night by Craig, who is in a spot of bother here. He's off angle. And not onto the red and 8 ball, trying to come down the right-hand side of the table and have the red to top left. So in trouble in the opening frame here for the Silver Sniper.
That was fun.
A bit of hit and hope in the end. He had ran out of ideas, ran out of match clock, shot clock. Hasn't left John anything, but John complete control here. Shouldn't be a problem to lay a very good snooker.
Yeah, and from a purely personal point of view, lovely to see John Rowe have a bit of a run.
Yeah, that's a poor shot for me from John. This is not the trickiest kick shot. I would expect Craig to make this couple of times out of 10, maybe more than that. He had the ability. I know why he's done what he's done. He wants to move the yellow further up the table, get it more into play. But if he just bumps it a little bit, he absolutely locks him up and gives him no shot. In the end, he tried to bend it, so maybe couldn't quite get to he didn't like the kick shot for whatever reason. Tried to bend it into the right centre, but even then, I still stand by the fact that I think Craig makes that shot a couple of times out of 10. So a little bit of a let-off for John Rowe.
Yeah, an interesting one, because you can see the little snarl that Craig gave as he walked away from the table there. He really fancied that. He knows that was in his wheelhouse.
Game within the game, that one. Sometimes, especially in the opening frame, it was an opportunity to hurt John, even though, if Craig breaks and runs, it is what it is. But if he, made that kick shot or the swerve as it was, it would have been a huge moment early.
John almost through to the 8 ball. We'll bring you up to speed with everything that's happening in the tournament in a minute. It's quite hard to condense, a lot going on. So here goes the ringer for 1-0. Lovely. All right then, this is the lay of the land. So we've got 2 matches currently playing in the losers qualification. This is the Last Chance Saloon. Jimmy Croxton and Chris Day are currently 1-1. Chris Day is 2-0 up in the final set. And this is Stevie Dempsey and Zach Cooper. And Stevie Dempsey is on the hill here. He's 5-4 up from the first set. He won that. And this is 4-all. And if he makes this, he is into the last 16. The last 16 looks like this. Joe Prince is playing Carl Morris. That's only a frame in. Callum Singleton's got Eddie Barker. Eddie's 3-2 up in set 1. Christy Caulfield, Jaden Billingham is 2-1 to Christy in the first set. And we've still got some matches to wait. John McAllister is awaiting one of the winners from the losers. We've got also our first quarter finalist as well, worth pointing out. Sean Chipperfield has already made it through. He beat Liam White this morning. First thing, 5-1, 5-3, quick fire, and he's the quarter finalist. He just has to sit around and wait. Brian Halcrow is awaiting a winner of one of the losers' qualification matches, and Declan Brennan versus Dom Cooney is the other last 16 match. I believe we're seeing that after this one.
We are indeed.
On the stream.
Yeah, it's all unfolding this morning. The plan was to get to the last 16, but some very long matches yesterday. It meant that some matches were held over to this morning. One of the matches you mentioned there, I'm just going to touch in on it. Chris Day versus Jimmy Croxton. Set all and 2-0 to Chris Day. Chris Day lost the opening set, was 3-2 up in the second set, snookered himself on the 8 ball, in a world of trouble. Comes off 3 cushions and flukes it. Gets himself 4-2, ends up winning the set 5-3. That moment was huge. It could have been Jimmy Croxton into the quarterfinals without that moment, because it was a horrific mistake from Chris. And now he's in position. He's 2-0 up in the deciding set. A bit straight. Don't know whether he wanted to leave the yellow that he's on here. Maybe track up the table off the one he's just played. If he gets the high angle, could go 2-3 cushions potentially. And this one he's playing now, cutting back into the centre, could have been a connector to the 8 ball. Oh, and he snookered himself. He left himself good on that one to the centre. That, I know it looks bad because he was cutting it back, but he needed the angle to be able to get up the table. It looks like he snookered himself.
Oh, he was close to making that. He's going to foul instead. Both players in their first sort of, inverted commas, proper opportunity, run aground. Now Craig Waddingham will look to do to John what John did to Craig just moments ago.
Looks a tricky-ish layout. Balls on cushions, and they connect well. You know, the one he's just played, there's a little trace there just to get past the yellow, and then this connects to the next one on the cushion. The one on the top right-hand side is likely to be his last ball, but it's a big pocket with the yellow there, so actually a fairly comfortable layout here for Craig. With it being a slightly bigger pocket, need to get absolutely right behind it or close to it. Wow, he can't believe it. He thought it was a big pocket, and it had just the tiniest gap between being an absolute certainty and not. Look how close he gets to the yellow here. Any touch on the yellow, and this drops in. Oh, you can't believe the jaw's there. Wow.
Yeah, he's done well to find it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a poor one from John. And he's not going to get away with it. An opportunity to hurt Craig there for sure, and hasn't taken it. I think this red does sneak in past the yellow. So a strange situation, that previous one for Craig. Sometimes you look at those and you think, well, you can't miss this shot because of it. And when there is that tiniest little gap, you can. But it's not going to cost him this 8 ball to win the frame anyway.
Bit more like it, 1-1. Yeah, strange beginning to the match. Feels a little like a Sunday morning. If that makes sense.
It does.
Both players are slightly slow out the gate.
Yeah, it does have. It always does. But this is the crunch time. This is the, this is the moment where there is no return.
This is 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗏 in action. He's taking on the dual Jaden Billingham. This is Christie breaking for the first set. He's sort of quietly gone about his business at this tournament, Christie. We've not seen him on the stream table, but he's had some very impressive results. And what he does do, even on the outside tables, which is a bit of a feature of the pro tournament, if you like, is when he's playing well, he runs so quickly.
Yeah, and
he plays at such a pace.
And in my opinion, that's a huge benefit because we're in a timed match era, but we have that on our main feature tables. We've got two timed matches out there for this weekend, so there's plenty of matches going out on the outer arena. They're not timed, and we still have players that are on the slower side. And the problem with that is they'll feel like they've been on the table all weekend long, and they'll feel, oh no, the schedule's too jam-packed and stuff, and it's too. But that's because they're in the loser's side. They're having to play an awful lot of matches, and they're having to work very, very hard and not getting any breaks. Christy Caulfield plays so quickly. He's cruising through, and he's probably thinking, well, I don't feel like I played much ball this weekend. I've gone out there, played for an hour and a half, had 4 hours off, played for an hour and a half, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, such an incredibly fun player to watch. There's Stevie Dempsey updating his fans, and he's saying, that's a beautiful arty shot of Mark Goff, the ref there.
Yeah, cameraman doing some good work there.
Yeah, that was cinematic. Mark Goff on timing duty, and he's just been lit up like a Christmas tree. Looked magnificent. Anyway, but what we can say is Stevie Dempsey there updating his supporters that he's won through 2-0 against 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏. He'll be straight on into the next match because he's got a last 16 match now, having won that losers qualification. And he goes straight in to play Brian Halcrow.
Pretty sure that's going to be following the Christy Caulfield match on Arena 2. So potentially a little bit of time for Stevie to reset himself after what was a 2-0 victory, but grueling 2-0. Both sets running very deep. Match lasted better part of 2 hours. Each set went the distance against 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏. Good run for Zach this weekend. I know ultimately he's not made it through to the last 16, but some good things for him to take away from the weekend.
For sure.
As he continues his pro journey.
Yeah, I think this may feel like the weekend where he's got his feet under the table on the Pro Series as Craig fouls.
Not happy. Felt like that one turned on him. John will not care.
Yeah, nor should he. Good chance for him to go 2-1 up. Interesting the point you made earlier, Si, about these two having played each other in the main draw. And obviously John getting a win there. Do you think that's a as an advantage in any way coming into this. I think Craig's probably too good mentally to really let that bother him. But more for John, really, do you think that's a confidence booster for him to go, well, I've already done this?
I think it's a confidence booster for John just simply because Craig Waddingham is right up there as, you know, in the top of the game right now. So, you know, it's as much as John's a former world champion, you know, the results have been a little bit thin on the ground for him. So I think it's a confidence boost. I don't see Craig even remotely caring that he's playing the person that beat him and knocked him out. That's not Craig's way at all. What is interesting, and it may start to come into Craig's head, is the fact that they played on Arena 2 in the winner qualification match last night, and John won the deciding set with the match clock and not by getting to 5. And this match has started in a sluggish fashion. We're nearly halfway through the first set here and the match clock, and it's maybe that comes into his mind a little bit that, you know, he'd rather have just let's go toe to toe on big finishes and let's see where we end up, and it's ending up as a bit of a scrappy affair. Ultimately, though, it's Craig Waddingham, and I don't think he'll overthink it. He's said it many times. I think he's got arguably the best temperament in the game. Christie did win the opening set against Jaden Billingham. We were watching him with a chance there to go 5-1, and he did actually win it 5-1. So Christie Coldfield's won the opening set over in Arena 2.
The John Rowe big break has got him a chance.
I'm just trapped on the cushion a touch. He's okay, though. I've been looking for an extra couple of rolls down the table. He's going to try and get into these two yellows here. He was still able to get there. Just pushing it onto the cushion wasn't ideal, though. I'd love that to have bounced or stopped short a little bit more. Ultimately, everything goes. He shouldn't have a problem getting above this yellow, and he doesn't have to do anything with it. Just dropping it in, the yellow connects bottom left, and this is pretty routine. Yeah, missed it. Put it straight onto the cushion. I think that was more about the shot previously. So he misses this thick, and the cue ball's still getting away from him a touch. So if he makes that centre pocket, the cue ball's going to get further to the left-hand side, and he was trying to hold the straight into bottom left. Obviously, he could have rerouted and gone bottom right and then got back to bottom left, but that's what he was doing. Whereas for the previous shot, when all he was doing was dropping it into right centre, if he goes 2 turns more and he's a turn off straight, it becomes so much more unmissable.
There's been a start to this set in which neither player properly got going yet. And I would probably suggest that that's a sort of match, whether he feels it right now or not, that probably suits John Rowe. Oh, he almost hung that. Goodness me. He almost hung that.
We saw Craig out here yesterday, and it feels such a similar start. Not happy with the cue ball, struggling a little bit. Kind of showing it more than he normally does. Ultimately, he was able to turn that match around and get the victory. gets him back to 2-2.
And we've had a result. Our last 16 is now complete. 𝗧𝗍 there, straight back on because John McAllister is awaiting, and 𝗧𝗍 has got the job done in the losers qualification round against Jimmy Croxton, who has mounted a hell of a run through the losers side. He's had to win a lot of matches this weekend as Jimmy. He just falls short against 𝗧𝗍. Almost looks scoreboard-wise like he just ran out of steam, Si.
I think it has a lot to do with that frame where it looked like Chris had put himself in a world of trouble. It was going to go 3-3 in the second set when Jimmy was already 1-0 up. The fluke went 4-2, won the set and won the last set 5-0. It almost took everything out of Jimmy Croxton.
Waddingham searching for rhythm.
Just get the sense the way he's going here that he's really feeling it. You know, he knows he's not in full rhythm and he's just being ultra careful at the moment, trying to make sure. A couple of little errors, couple costing him, couple they still fell and he was able to find a way, but isn't in full flow yet. Even that one, you know, it's the, you know, he's crossing the line, which is never ideal, but he's, you know, it goes a few rolls too far and he's doing a cutback here rather than it being an unmissable straight-in shot. Just got to watch the cue ball as well, because if you're going to reach the right-hand side and centre pocket can be in play, yeah, you get too much bite on that ball and the cue ball goes in the centre and you look a bit silly. That's why he stood up off the shot, just to reset himself. And ultimately, job done. But that's what I'm talking about, all those little mistakes.
Coming to the Batman for something different. He's on table 11 and he's absolutely flying this week. Is the Dark Knight. He has arisen. Champions League semi-finalist as of Monday, and he's battered his way through into the last 16 of the Players' Championship 2. This is sort of his neck of the woods. I say neck of the woods, the southeast in general.
Hour away he lives, yeah.
Yeah.
He finished at 1:30 last night.
Oh my goodness!
Grueling match with Sean Story and.
Oh my goodness! And, I was watching that match at about 11 o'clock. They'd already played a set.
They went on at 9 p.m. Yeah, they finished at 1:30, and it could have gone longer. There was time left in the match, but Eddie was able to get it done. And then he had the hour drive home, and then an hour back in this morning, and he was playing again at 10 a.m. And that's what we're talking about with Christy Coldfield. You know, there's a lot to be said for players that go out there and play at a rhythm. You know, we're still in this era where players not playing on a match clock and shot clock will take a lot longer, and all of a sudden you know, you're on the table an awful lot, and it becomes more of a grueling, you know, stamina affair. Whereas the players that play naturally quick, they do have an advantage. You know, look at Sean Chipperfield; he's already done and dusted for his chilling. You know, he's chilling, whereas, you know, Eddie's probably feels like he hasn't slept, and you know, he's straight back into another battle with Callum Singleton, who had his own battles yesterday. A 4-hour match.
Yeah.
Over 4 hours with Carl Morris.
Let me tell you, folks, that match was exactly how you thought it would go. I was I actually had the pleasure of watching quite a bit of that, and yeah, they were both dragging each other into the trenches. Although a real highlight moment when Cole Morris pulled the swan neck out. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that apparatus used on a 7x4 table. And to be fair to him, he played an unbelievable shot with it in true Morris fashion. But those two were, I don't know if I'd almost say maybe bringing the worst out of each other. I think they're both players who can get bogged down into grind matches. And it may not suit either of them really when they're doing it to each other. You know, if they're playing safe, for example, with 𝗧cti Caulfield who flies around the table, it might help them to take it into the trenches. But, you know, if you've got two players who are sort of cut from the same cloth, you know, you might as well just abandon that. There is Houdini himself. He's playing against Joe Prince this morning. He won through against Kyle Cope. That, by the way, was a phenomenal combination shot he's just played.
But he didn't want it. Yeah. He looks like he was playing safe.
Yeah.
You can almost tell he's smiling, even though we can't see his face. It's not a smile of happiness, I can tell you.
Yeah. Get comfy there, Joe. Carl's not playing his next shot for about 2 minutes here.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about. When it gets away from the main table, the players can do this. And Carl's actually, you know, they finished. There was a four. They went on at 7 o'clock yesterday. Carl and Callum. They finished at gone 11, and he was back on at 9 o'clock this morning. Was Carl Morris, and he got the job done against Kyle Cope in 2 sets, 5-4, 5-2. Straight back on to play against Joe Prince and their 2-2. So, you know, this is exactly what we're talking about, the sort of the grueling nature of the game for the players that want to take longer on shots and drag matches out. Make of that what you will, but definitely an advantage to being in the Rob Warne or 𝗧cti Caulfield or Sean Chipperfield camp where you get on with the game. Deep into the final 10 minutes of the opening set here. Both players need 2. Looks like Craig's going to need a little nudge here. He's got the ball underneath it, the 8-ball on the yellow. One underneath it. You get the kind of quarter ball cannon on it. He's going to get a bit of a thicker cannon on it, you'd feel now. Or is he playing the double? I don't believe this goes. Surely not. Double it is. Very nice. Forced to up the pace here, Craig. 15 seconds a shot just forces you to motor through a little bit. And I feel like he found a bit more rhythm doing that. Very good visit to the table for Wadd.
Crack.
Yeah, that's a booming break from John.
Sound like a gun went off. He really does slap this break. Didn't get all the cue ball. He'll be Just aware of that, will John?
All but 2 balls left the table, as in he potted one, or went into the top half of the table. One of them's come back down, but that's quite incredible. It's not easy to get 13 balls to move into the top half of the table.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Okay.
Yeah. He would love to be on the one on the left-hand side. Absolutely love to. If he was a touch straighter on it, I mean, he is on it, but it's very thin, you would take it, because the one top right becomes your last ball for the 8 ball left centre.
It's a very good shot here. We'll keep on moving.
Again, he's just that touch short on it. And now if he goes top right, you just can't really get on the 8 ball off this, so he's going to have to play this one and double or twice across.
We played a lovely line. Yeah, played a double to straighten the cue ball. He was just short on the shot. He found a lovely line off the one to bottom right. He was just so short.
Yeah.
It almost like when it came off the rail, I thought, oh, he's in business. He's found a great shot, but it just
pulled up, didn't it?
Died a death on the cloth there. Just gripped in. Craig played that with rakes of check.
He's got his own problems here. Yellow above the 8 ball, yellow on the right-hand side. Try to get the cannon here. It's okay. He'd like to be on it right centre now. It's not the end of the world if he's not. He is on the one to top right. He's on the one to top right with an angle to go across for the one on the right-hand side, but the connections are pretty poor.
He's on the one he just played, yeah.
Yeah, that helps. That helped a lot.
This is for the first set then for the Silver Sniper. Doesn't flinch at these kind of finishes, does Craig? More than happy to accept distance. And the type of player he is. Straight and flat along the rail, never an issue. And he's going to win the first set against the ringer. So 1-0 to Craig Waddingham after 1. The Silver Sniper is on the board in the last 16 and on the march towards the quarterfinals. Welcome back, everybody. The ringer and the Silver Sniper are going head-to-head for a spot in the quarterfinals. Craig Waddingham is 1-0 in front on sets. John Rowe needs to win the next 2 sets to qualify into the last 8. Work to do for the ringer. Big break incoming. Oh, that's tough. The only consolation is I think he's left a little bit of a funky split here. Does generally like to get the cue ball straight back, but it was safe on the side cushion. It was nowhere near a pocket, really. To get kicked in off like that's pretty tough. And yeah, so it was a funky split, but I think reds are doable.
He's going yellows.
He's going yellows to squeeze the red out. Yeah, now yellows work. Yeah, like that.
That little touch doesn't. No, that adds to the work he's got to do. But it that yellow still goes, or it can be dealt with. It's not the end of the world, but kind of early. I mean, he's very unfortunate there, John Rowe, but he's been playing so well this weekend. He's dealt with losing sets and coming back. You know, it's not been plain sailing. It never is in this format, but he just needs to take his first opportunity whenever it comes and get himself going again and get some belief going. I always think when you've lost the opening set, you need a positive start to set 2, otherwise you can feel like the match is getting away from you. And I'm saying that as though Craig's only, you know, at the table in the opening frame here, but just one of the things I'm looking for. Leaving the tricky ball till last here. The right-hand side, one on the bottom cushion. So does he play to push past it? So if you put the cue ball roughly where the yellow is here, it'll probably come on and off the cushion, but some sort of high angle. Does he play to have a controlled count? Oh, it goes in the centre. It goes in the centre pocket. That changes it. From the main camera, it doesn't look like it's possible at all, but that really helps because you then...
Yeah, it flies into it.
Yeah. He can still play to get on it to bottom corner, which gets him a better angle onto the 8-ball, but the reason I was sort of building that up is it feels risky. He'll take the more guaranteed option of dropping it in the centre pocket. This is a thin clip.
Yeah, he's pretty immediately on it. Obviously fancies it maybe a bit easier than we thought, but yeah, that was thin, but he's played it well. Craig Waddingham 1-0 up in the second set. I can tell you that 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃 has won against Jaden Billingham 5-1, 5-4 in the second set. So 𝗏𝗃 into the quarterfinals where he will face 𝗠𝗁𝗁𝗃𝗏𝗃. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we will be there. There we land for that quarterfinal. 𝗠𝗁𝗁𝗃𝗏𝗃 versus 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃. Strap in. You'll need 2 seat belts. And it will be wham bam, thank you, man, Paul.
There he is. He's such a good character. He really is. Yeah, that should be a cracking quarterfinal. Right up there. They're two of the quickest players on tour. I mean, that doesn't do them justice for the quality of their play, but if we're going just off breakneck speed.
Well, golden duck for Craig Waddingham. Not that that's in play, should clarify, but those just eventualities of white ball and 8-ball in don't happen all that often. Referee 𝗪𝗁𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃 just telling John to sit back in his seat while he resets the table, and now the shot clock can start. That's Referee 𝗪𝗁𝗃 just being precise on his officiating there. Correct call. Booming break from Craig, but no joy at all with that. I love him.
Oh, he's fantastic. He is fantastic.
Well, it's not quite disaster for Craig, but he's looking to make that. He shot. How's that yellow going to end up? It's a little fiddly. It's just a little fiddly.
He's happy, I think. He held his hand up straight away because this has come out as good as it could in terms of leaving a plant. It could have gone really awkward there, and it didn't. If that yellow turned an extra roll down or a roll less and it's off angle and it's awkward, and yeah, absolutely. So that's why he apologised.
Yeah, you're slightly better at reading the Craig Waddingham body language than I am. I reckon you're fluent in WOD. I thought he was a little bit concerned there, but no, he was happy enough.
He was until it finally stopped, and then he held up his hand because he was like, "Oh, this is brilliant." Yeah, and he's starting to motor here. Good signs for John Rowe, not for what he's doing, but for what Craig Waddingham is doing right now. John's just talking about fine lines out there.
Chatting with Callum Singleton. He is very much still fighting in his own right in this tournament.
John's just going to be sick. Going to be sick out there. And these things can happen. In his mind, he's thinking, what's happening? You know, why is it going against me? He had opportunities in set one. And, you know, he's on the verge here. Craig's looking good for 3-0 and a set lead already. But if John Rowe had taken his opportunities in the opening set when Craig was wobbling a little bit, you know, he could be a set to nil up here whilst this is happening. These are the sort of fine lines in the game. Yes, I take nothing away. John's having a tough run of the ball out there right now, especially with his own break, but that was brutal. Motoring through now, Craig Waddingham flying along.
He certainly is, and you just start to fear a little.
Callum Singleton's just taken the opening set against Eddie Barker, 5-4. Christay's yet to get going against John McAllister, 3-0 down in the opening set. John McAllister, defending champion. We saw him early on in the tournament. And since then, largely kind of just floated through in the background. Not too much fanfare. And defending champion's in good position here.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, agreed.
For a spot in the quarterfinals. That's right at the bottom of the draw. Winner of that match would play the winner of Declan Brennan and Dom Cooney. So big matches potentially there. Well, big matches everywhere when you make the quarterfinals, let's be honest. John should get this frame now. That was a nice touch just to find a line through and land pretty perfect. Is he maybe a turn short? You absolutely would love to get on the one on the bottom. It looks like he can. He's got one of those angles where he's going to be, if he plays it with too much pace, he would be going into the yellow, so he's switching it around and taking the centre first. Needs a little bounce. It's not perfect. So I thought he was perfect before because I thought he was straight. He wasn't. Now he's going to have to just dink a good cue ball here, which he has. Now he is back in good shape. And should be good enough to get his opening frame in this second set.
On the boards, and boy, did he need that, the ringer. Yeah, not before time. 4-0, and it's probably game over. 3-1. It's not exactly, you know, all bells and whistles for John Rowe, but he's not dead just yet. He's back in it.
The good news for John is that this has been a quick-fire set in terms of every frame's been essentially a run out and pretty good quick time. We're only just over the 10-minute mark, so there is time. Just needs to get a couple more good chances there. Back to back here. Like Grimace, but he's fine here. The plant's off angle, quite significantly off angle, but it's so close to the pocket. You'd really fancy making it. You'd be very surprised. It's more a case of what ball's he playing off the back of it and the angle he wants to be on playing it. That's why he's taking the one up the table first. That's gone a little awkward unless the red, oh, it does go through the gap. He's fine. Absolutely fine here. Could even just brush the yellow if he needs to. I think it goes direct. How's he missed that? He can't believe it.
Yeah, just didn't see that coming. That's big, really big.
Yeah, I think he has tried to just use the yellow. It was similar to the one that Craig Waddingham had to the corner earlier on, where he felt it was unmissable, and there was just the tiniest gap. That's why John got back down on the shot afterwards. He didn't think he could actually miss on that jaw. it's a good bump for Craig. Holds up his hand again. That could have gone disastrously wrong. Touch fortunate for Craig, he won't care. Holds up his hand to acknowledge it, but he's on the hill.
Callum Singleton to the table, up against the Batman. Callum Singleton shading the first set. 5-4 win in set one. He's 1-0 up in set two and at the table. John McAllister already 4-1 up on Chris Day as well. Carl Morris won the first set against Joe Prince. 5-3. Brian Halker and Stevie Dempsey has just begun. Still 0-0. As Craig Waddingham goes in off. Wow, can you believe that? It wasn't a particularly well hit break this by Craig, but he'll be thinking, how on earth does the cue ball end up in the left centre from where it hit? How's it avoided all those balls?
Slightly easier to take at 4-1 up.
Yeah, it is, but not if John Rowe wins this frame and comes back again and wins the next.
It's very true.
John Rowe back to the wall. He's got to win the next three to win the set. He could get away with just winning the three. I should say he's got to win 4 to win the set. He could get away with winning 3 to take him 2-4. It's probably just too much time on the clock. They need a really slow frame for that to happen. Point being is that you can draw a set if it reaches 0 on the set clock and the scores are tied, but these two have played quickly in this second set. Don't think there's really enough time for that to happen. So, simple order for John. Let's take 1 frame at a time, and he's got to win the next 4 frames to stay in the Ultimate Pool Players Championship. Oh, that's not going to help. That is not going to help. That might be the final chance.
Yeah, chance for Craig just to wrap this one up, get it done, move on. Nice little break before his quarter-final match.
Will do, I think.
Oh, it's going to tie him up. Not over yet. Hope for John Rowe. Trying to force it, and no good. Rejected from the corner pocket. Cannon came out okay for him, but yeah, that was the end of it. He hasn't left John anything nice, though. Tough spot for John, back against the wall here. Big, big shot, this one, for him to hang in. No, not going to land. I think the red might still pass the yellow to the bottom corner. No, even if it doesn't, you can get the other side of it. Needs to work a good cue ball.
Yes, he does. He's just come far enough. He looks a bit straight. Bit straight. Can he pinch it a little?
Not ideal.
It's not ideal. I know Craig's not a big practicer at all. But I think if he's to win this tournament, I think he needs to spend a little bit of time getting used to the conditions. Never settled out there, really.
It feels like he's starting the tournament every time he plays at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, that helps.
Stupid
When
pot.
you can pot like that, that helps.
That's a stupid pot. Not many players on the tour make that. Certainly don't make it look that easy. Well, it's been far from perfect from Craig Waddingham, but ultimately it's a 2-0 victory for him, and he'll be relieved to get out of there with that in the locker. He's into another Players' Championship quarter-final. And it's starting to shape up for another tilt at the title. But you can see there, he's far from happy, is the Silver Sniper. He knows he's got to step up a gear if he's to take this title down